the tree is independent of the land. But Reb Shimon holds differently. Reb Shimon says, the Amar Makdish Bayin Ra Makdish. When a person consecrates something, he gives the absolute worst. The Tanya is taught in the Brisa. I forget where I was reading this. In a commentary on Rus. In the Sensino commentary on Rus, I was reading one of the scholars that they quote was discussing about people that are generous. And he says that when you take the crumbs from under the table and you throw them, you save them, and you throw them to the birds, that's not considered generous. That's just making yourself feel good that you're not throwing it out. But it's not. Those crumbs you were going to throw out anyway. You didn't give anything from yourself. So he was talking about how boyas, they added extra, not the things that fell, but the extra. That's the being generous, is to give the things that you would have kept up for yourself. That's what. So the question is, when someone gives something to the temple, what does he give? Does he give the very, very best, or does he give the very, very worst? There's different opinions.
Should make animals so that they can help us. If you were a beggar and you needed those crumbs and you still gave it to the birds, you would have done it. It would have been not generously the way Hashem found you. What do they get? They could have found food animals.
Yeah, so when we do something for Hashem, we give up something from ourselves. It's not that Hashem needs it.
Alright, so why don't you
something that we would have needed.
Why would you give it to the birds? Also, you need it. It's not helpful to them.
Yeah. The Tanya, we're going to prove Reb Shimon. The Tanya, Hamakdish es Sasada, we're going to quote Reb Shimon. If someone sanctifies the field, Hikdish es Kula. He sanctifies the whole field. Reb Shimon Aimer, like Hikdish el Charuv, Hamorkan v'Sadan Ashikma. Reb Shimon says that he's only sanctifying a grafted carob tree and the Sadan Hashikma. You see, I think they would cut down the trees and then they would grow fatter. So the original tree is probably a sycamore. It sounds like a sycamore.
Sycamore.
Oh yeah?
There and then upper right hand corner. Upper right.
The plant tree?
No, underneath it. On the right hand side of the page.
Oh, American sycamore.
American sycamore. Well, we can have Israeli sycamore. And then on the yellow tab, the silhouette of it.
American sycamore. In Los Angeles, they have a lot of sycamore trees. Yeah. It's here you just see the leaves, but here you see the shape of the tree.
Sycamore trees are very good.
What type of tree is that?
Sycamore.
Thank you, Professor. There's a picture of the Israeli sycamore.
Ah, good.
Similar
With
shape.
a hollow trunk. Yeah.
Woo! Ramat Gan. It says, like you said, that the more they would cut it, the more branches would grow.
Right.
And they would chop it down and it would grow again.
So after it was cut down, it was called the Sadan Hashikma, and that's what he's giving, which is of less quality. The Gemara says, "Reb Shimon, if it's Reb Shimon, name a seifa." Look at the end of the Brisa. If someone consecrates first the trees and then the land, so when he comes to redeem it, he redeems the trees and then the land. But if it's according to Reb Shimon, we should go after the redemption. Why? And you should redeem it all together. Look at this. Reb Shimon says that you follow the redemption. The Tanya was taught in a Brisa. Listen to this Brisa, you'll see that even if he consecrates it independently, when it comes to the redemption, he redeems it together. How do we know? If someone purchases a field from his father, they probably have separate businesses, and he buys the field off his own father, V'ekdisha, and then he sanctifies the field.
No matter how old he is, if he's under convention, he's still either way.
Wait, you'll see. And then the father dies. Now he would have inherited it, but he bought it. How do we know that it's considered an inherited field, not a purchase field? If it's a purchase field that's not an inherited field, it's emphasized that's not in the Torah. A field that's not eligible to be inherited. This could have been an inherited field. That means, when it comes to redeeming it, even though he purchased it, but I look at it as it is at the time of the redemption, not as it is when he purchased it. So, I would say the same thing here. This is what the Gemara is asking. If he consecrated the trees and then the fruit and then the land, according to Reb Shimon, I should be able to redeem it just by the land, and it should all come back because I look at it as it is by the redemption, not as it was consecrated. Reb Meir says, how do we know if someone purchases a field from his father, but then the father dies? He sanctifies it after the death, not like Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Shimon said he consecrated it before the father died, and then the father died, and now he's coming to redeem it. Here it's the opposite. The father dies, and then he consecrates it. How do we know now it's considered an inherited field? If it's a bought field, which is not an inherited field, a field that's not inherited, but this is actually an inherited field because he consecrated it after it was already inherited. Now, the Gemara says, Ilu, V'ilu l'Rab Yehuda Rab Shimon afilu akdisha v'achakach meis, probably Aviv, meis Aviv. If he sanctified it and then the father dies, it's considered an inherited field, even though he sanctified it first. Why? Because we look at the redemption, my taima. Okay. The Gemara says, Imishum kra, if it's because there's a special pasuk here. So kra l'kud Rab Meir hudasa. That pasuk could be telling me Rab Meir's halacha. Elalav mishum da'azal basar pidyon. It must be that Reb Shimon looks at the time of the redemption. If you look at the time of redemption, then if someone consecrates the trees and then the property, at the time of the redemption, just redeem the property and you've automatically redeemed the whole thing. So Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, Rabbi Yehuda, Reb Shimon, Kra Ashkachu V'Darash. Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Shimon have a different pasuk. Im kein lichtav rachmana, im esedei meknasei asher lo achuzasai. My mistay sadash, my 1 second. Excuse me. My misada. Why does it say there's an extra field in there? Why does it add in that extra word field? Sada sheina royal yisdech achuza. They learn it from a pasuk. If they're learning it from a pasuk, then
so it's not because of Basar.
It's not because of Basar Pidyon. It's a special pasuk that tells it to me, and therefore, when it comes to redemption, you would redeem them separately. Amar of Papa. Papa says, pick destruction. Should we stop here or should I continue? Someone sanctifies rocky land. You redeem it with its value. My time a base zera.
It was a steachuza.
A steachuza, right. So even though normally a steachuza you redeem not by its value, you redeem by 50 coins. But here, because my time a base zera marachmana, the Torah says a field that could take seed. Bahani la b'nei zriyah, but this you can't plant. So therefore you redeem it by its value, not by the amount of seed, not by the base zera, not by the coins. Loi galan. But let's say he doesn't redeem it. Then yoitzim, it's supposed to say yoitzim la kayanim b'yovel. It goes to the kayanim.
No. It leaves the kayanim. It's talking about a hekdesh, right? So it leaves the kayanim.
No. It goes to the kayanim.
They get it.
Why would
They get it. They get it. You gave it to the temple. You get it to the temple. They acquire it if it's not redeemed. This is by a Sdei Yachuza. This is totally a Sdei Yachuza. Even though the beginning was not a Sdei Yachuza. When it comes to the redemption, it's not a Sdei Yachuza. When it comes to not redeeming it, it has the law of a steachuza that it goes to the kayanim. That's not if it's not redeemed. My timer, sada amarachmana, sada kaldahu. Any field goes to the. So we look at the other part of the word here. Machat Russian. Let's say he sells it. Nigalim pachas mishtei shanim. You could redeem it.
He translates here different. He says they go out of the koyanim material. That's how he translates. Because even though before we said it's not a steachuza, and we have a special value to it, but because it says Beizera,
Right.
But because it doesn't say Beizera in Yovel, therefore it leaves the kohanim.
Wait, this is
in the
goes
Yovel.
out to the Kohanim.
No,
Read what you have in English.
I know. It says they go out to the kohanim at the
To
Yovel.
the Kohanim. Not from the Kohanim, to the
Right.
Kohanim. The
What happens
Kohanim
is,
get it.
if it's not redeemed, it ends up going to the property of the kayanim. But let's see if
Continue.
it's
The merciful one said that a field goes out to the kohanim at the Yovel. Also.
right.
Out to
Even so, you're correct that it's considered a steachuza, even though we just a minute ago did not consider it a steachuza, but here it is considered. Now, but let's say he sells it. Negalim b'pachas mishnei shanim. It could be redeemed within the first 2 years. My timer. Misper shnei tvus amar rachmana v'haylav b'nei tvuninu. Normally, you have to wait 2 years after you sell a property before you can redeem it. Here, before you can buy it back. Here, he's buying it back right away because this is not a field that gives produce. Loi galan, but if he doesn't buy them back, it goes back to the original owner at Yovel, just like every sold field goes back to an original. Every inherited field that's sold goes back to the original owner by Yovel. It gets reset, like you said. My time of a This is also an achuzah.
So that's an irregular person. By a kohen, not. By hekdesh, not.
Yeah, by hektish not. This is talking about just a regular sale. Hikdish ilanes, if someone sanctifies trees, payda b'shaveim, those you have to redeem. With their my time of base zera marachmana v'layulanes. Seed is redeemed with those coins, but not trees. Loy galan, but if he doesn't redeem them, in yotzim l'kainim b'yovel, it does not go to the kainim by yovel like a field, because v'haya asadam rachmana v'lay ilanes. Machar ilanes, let's say he sold the trees to someone else. They're not redeemed within the first 2 years. My time this does give produce, so therefore it's like the field that gives produce. So you need 2 years. But if he doesn't redeem them, it does not go back to the owners by the yovel like a regular field would. My time of a shavlach he returns to an inheritance, but not to trees.
What happens if
Okay, let's leave it over here and
if you were gonna marry someone, she said, "I'll only marry you if you give me money."
Comes Yovel.
At the end, do you give it back?
Yeah.
Oh, for the property?
The land